Okay, but here's what we're doing. We're basically building a boat for all of us to be inside of and navigate through the waters with each other. Okay, shut up. Okay, delete.
The guy yesterday, what was he saying about poetry? Do you need help?
Yes. Actually, yeah, but he was saying, I forget why he wasn't, or what he was saying about not being into it. Yeah.
But you were describing your poetry and then you were talking about someone else's poetry.
Yes.
Let's not talk about who it was.
Let's
talk about your poetry.
I just can't remember our conversation. I just remember it was like it was an interesting conversation, but I don't remember the details of it. But I do remember that I said that there would be a harp player, which is, it's not actually the harp, it's this thing called the bandura, and it's this woman from the Ukraine, and she's going to be playing for an hour at the start of the event. And I told him this, and he was like, you should have led with that instead of poetry. Yeah.
No poetry, just that?
Yeah, he said I should have described the event starting with the harp. Anyways.
And it's your poetry, right? Like, what's on the program? So the harp? The harp, the only thing we wanted to see, right?
Yeah, well, it's called the bandura. It's a Ukrainian version of a harp. There's this woman, Irina, who's going to be playing, and she's lived here for about a year. She's from the Ukraine, and she has a son here. She's learning Greek. She's working really hard. I met her by the Acropolis. And she was playing her bandura, and she was playing Hallelujah, the song that Leonard Cohen wrote. That song took him, I don't know how many years, but a lot of years to write, and it's fairly simple. And
dangerous term.
Yeah. I love Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen, do you know his story? Is this relevant to this night?
Everything's relevant. Everything's
relevant.
So
basically the way that Leonard Cohen got into playing guitars, he's Canadian, and he was living in Canada, and he was walking through the park one day, and he heard this music. He heard the sound of a guitar, and he was very mesmerized by it, and he followed the sound, and it led him to this man who was sitting in the grass playing guitar. And Leonard Cohen said to him, "Can you teach me?" And this guy said, "Yeah." And they started playing guitar together. And I don't know the full details of this story, how long they played, but let's say they played like a month together, 2 months, or it was a pretty short amount of time. And one day, Leonard Cohen and this guy were supposed to meet up, and the guy didn't show up. And so Leonard was like, "Where is he?" And he went to all of the bars this dude frequented, and it turned out the guy had died.
Oh no.
Yeah, and Leonard Cohen says that after that, his guitar playing got like incrementally just insane. Like he just started channeling this energy, and he thinks it since then he's basically been channeling the spirit of this dead.
The grief.
Just the artwork of like this man's, the fact that they met so close towards the end of his life, and then he started channeling his music. And I don't think Leonard Cohen really started writing poetry until he was in his 30s, and he came to Athens, he came to Greece, he was in Hydra for a really long time, and he wrote poetry, and yeah.
Okay.
So there's nothing to do with Leonard Cohen necessarily at this event, but that's part of his story.
But we could say it's kind of an ode in a way.
Yeah, I think we have this really beautiful poster that the event takes place on November 15th, which is a Friday, and it's also the full moon. And the full moon will be in Taurus, which is the first sign of the zodiac, and it's the sign that kind of, it's the bull, and it's this energy that just breaks through shit, like whatever you're trying to smash out of or break, or this is the energy that does that, so we're going to be very guided by this moon energy. And this month is Scorpio, and we have this is the constellation of Scorpio. And I worked with these two really awesome brothers, Christos and Manos, who are artists. And I told them, I said, make the constellation of Scorpio, make it into like a sexy woman, basically. And they did. And so this is what I see is like this really, or I mean androgynous, man, woman, whatever. Scorpio has become this like elegant thing. Mm-hmm. She's arched over the fire. And it's a lot about spark, connection, creativity, coming together, celebration. You know, we've been through, all of us have, in similar and different ways, we've been through like in a really insane year. Past few years, past decade, past lifetime has been crazy and chaotic, and we suffer a lot alone, and I think suffering alone is always worse than suffering together, and poetry kind of brings us together to mourn shit with words and feelings and space and silence, and we're going to be doing that, and there's going to be breath and pause and music and reckoning and acknowledgement and all of these things that we can do together and with intention, while also celebrating life and beauty and all the good things too. Like I think there's just it's a night of duality.
Do you think it's like in a way we can share our solitude and suffering and turn that into beauty, because that's what how do you see that? Is like, because you were describing how it can get so lonely, and we can think that we're alone with our thoughts, and sitting together and voicing them out loud is
I think yes, absolutely. I was thinking about this today actually, and kind of the extreme beauty that comes along with vulnerability, and how good it feels, and how much love can be let in when we're really, really open and really vulnerable and raw, and just kind of like, I don't know, taking a knife and stabbing in our stomachs and opening them and letting everything spill out, and how awesome that is. Because then we can let it, like, people see it and they experience it and they're like, oh shit, this is what I'm doing to myself or going through too. But also, as the person doing that so openly, you're so exposed, and that is its own sense of like hurt and pain. And I think that poetry is this place that kind of allows people to be very vulnerable in safety. So it's like, of course there's still going to be the scary things that come along with being vulnerable, but I think it's safer than other ways of being vulnerable. Does that make sense? I don't know. So and I think a lot of beauty comes out of that. Okay, wait, can I share this one?
Let's try to frame it.
This is our star woman, and if you can see, this is a flame, and it's like her throat. It's like the poet, a person. When you speak what needs to come out, you speak in flames, you speak in fire, and it's like fire. And she's kind of winking, because this is also going to be a magical night. There will be fire. We're going to have a special performance that involves a lot of fire. There's going to be bells. There's going to be a lot of candles. There's going to be Felix's fog machine, his smoke machine will be there, so there will be fog everywhere. It's going to be basically really rusty. It's going to be a rusty, like, textured night full of grit and things like that, and also very elegant and classical and harp. It's a mixture of everything, so that's what we got here. Come. Beautiful. Other poets too are speaking.
Other poets too.
Yes.
How many other poets?
Beatrice. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people that want to speak but are shy, which makes sense. And so people want to feel it out. So the night will be felt out. But Beatrice will be reading her work. Paula will be reading her work. Oh my God, how can I forget? Alex, he will have his wonderful photography exhibit. His photos are beautiful. They will be all over the walls. And then Solis, there's going to be a shamanic frame drummer who has been playing his shamanic drum for a very long time. He's really talented and it's really beautiful. So he will be kind of like guiding, his drumming will be holding the entire night together. Okay, the day after this reading, there's this other thing happening by this group called Yum Yum, I believe. And they're gonna have dancing and music. You sent it to me. You know?
Yeah, that's
yeah, and
true.
I feel like that's completely different location. Probably gonna have some people the same, other people different, but like it's the same vibe where we're coming together, we're celebrating, we're acknowledging that there's really hard shit happening right now. And we're making space for that and talking about it while also deciding to celebrate our freedom and not be really depressed, basically.
Yeah.
Because I think we've kind of been living in this reality for a really long time where we, as people, felt very unable to express ourselves. Go to put them all over Exarchia, mostly, and then I'll save like 5 or 6 and can put them